Good evening, good morning, folks. Streaming now. X-Plane for today, so it won't be F-16 flight as usual. For those who know, I'm kind of with Sandman right now. We're going to test the beta of the A320 from Flight Factor and X-Plane 11. I've been enrolled in the beta program, so I definitely want to test the shit out of this plane. And why not with the qualified pilot? Because, well, I can say what I want, but experience does count on that. Oh. All right. So first things first, X-Plane crashed. Well, let's try over. Yeah, so X-Plane crashed. All right, let's go for the new flight.
It wouldn't be a video production if there wasn't a snafu.
Oh, yeah.
Take two?
Exactly. It's part of the streaming stuff. You can't really measure what's going to happen in the future. Let's hope it's going to work this time. I don't know how much delay you get, but probably something like 20 to 30 seconds.
Yep. Looks like it's going further this time.
Damn, I've got too much sceneries. Taking forever to load.
Do you download that?
From the org, yeah, mostly.
Yeah. Well, no. It's there's some sort of scenery you can download for
free.
free.
The ortho for X-Plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've created a couple tiles for it.
I just don't have time to mess with that stuff.
Oh yeah. All right, so we're in it.
Hey, the screen looks like some of the airplanes. The dirty screen.
Oh yeah. Actually, there must be a sun glare because usually you don't really see the glare popping up like that. All right, you want to see the cool features they implemented? The most interesting thing they did in the plane. You got a web browser.
Ah, how about that?
Yeah, and you got a moving map with Google Map.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're there right now.
What they really need to do is put up sky vector on that map.
Well, I could actually. Sky.
But where you could actually follow your aircraft. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
There you go. You got Sky Vector here. It's just not really.
Well, that's okay. I mean, it's just the point of it is just to have like aviation charts with you. There you go.
Well, I'm not sure in Europe you get actually access directly to the aviation
No.
charts, but in the US I know that Sky Vector does pull up the charts directly if you click on the
There
airplane.
it is.
There you go. All right, so I'll connect the ground power unit.
Let's take a look at the overhead just real quick and see how things are set up.
All right.
So the first thing you do, well, actually, the first thing you do before you go the cockpit prep is you got to do the preliminary.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a better angle on the overhead. All right, that should do it. Okie dokie. There you go.
All right, just connect the batteries real quick.
This should be connected now.
All right. Now press the APU fire test button. Okay.
I got to chime actually that.
Oh, you know what? I've turned that off because there's that delay between you talking. So let me turn that back on. I hate listening to my voice. Press the engine fire test. Okay, I'd have to look at that, but that only one side of those lights should have lit up with just the battery, so I have to look at that again.
Should I disconnect the ground power actually? Because
no, it's not connected
it's
anyway.
not connected,
it's just hooked
but
up.
the thing is that if I connect the APU, if I disconnect, there's like no more vents that actually come in the cockpit actually, even though the APU is not connected on the systems. This is what's kind of weird actually. No. Yeah.
One of the nice things about being in the airlines is usually when you get to the airplane, it's already powered up for you.
Yeah, that's not the thing you do every day. Yeah, well, I can confirm that the 2 lines of the fire test actually lit up on all engines plus APU. All right. Should I go back to connecting the APU, the EPU again?
Yeah, go ahead. Connect it up and turn it on.
All right.
Go down and look at the main panel real quick.
Seems that FANUC number 1 actually doesn't get any more information. The other one's still connected to the battery.
Alright, go to your overhead on the left side and you go up and press your turn your crew oxygen on. It's on the bottom left of the overhead.
Crew supply. It's not.
That's it.
It's not implemented.
It's not okay because it says regulator low pressure.
There's no click spot on it actually. So.
Gotcha. Okay, so the regulator low pressure must just be something tossed in there for eye candy on the display down below.
All right. What did you see that? All right. Okay. See that. All right.
Now it's, yeah, see it?
Yeah. Well, actually, I can pull up the. I can have the overhead and get the screens actually, if I want to. There we go.
Okay, what about your flight recorder, which is just above the oxygen?
Okay. I don't have it.
There it is, ground control. Can you push that in? Nope. Okay. So just work your way up that. Yep, just work your way straight up that panel.
To the INS.
Put the. Yeah, that's fine. Just no white lights. Extinguish any white lights.
All right. There's no white lights.
Yeah. The captain purser switch, is that movable? On your evac panel? Down below?
Down below. Okay. This one now. There. Got nothing here actually.
Okay, no problem. So it's just in captain, so he's the only one who has the ability to send the evac command. Alright, so you go up to your IRSs and put them in nav.
Yep.
Your ADRS. Let's see, you want to go down, you want to have a, can you pull up your MCDU? There you go. So now go to your init page.
Got a flight plan.
Well, here, let's do something here. Go back to that page. Go back to that data. Right next to init. After you put in your flight plan. Yeah, after you put in your airports, it's fine. Okay. Go to aircraft status. Type ARM.
Okay, R, yeah.
Okay, and put it where it says change code. CHG code right there. Click that.
That's what I get.
And now type in. Put in 2.0 and put it below ARM.
All right.
Okay, now clear ARM. Okay, that works. Now the question is, does it actually affect the idle performance?
What it's supposed to do is, alright, okay, so you actually put a bit more power on the idle, on the engines, right? Is it?
Well,
is it what it does?
there's a couple things that this does. One, it affects. Oh, I forget what it's called, but there's a fuel. It's a fuel burn factor, basically.
Oh, okay.
For example, if your engine is burning a little bit more fuel than
P factor,
expected,
right?
yeah, that's it.
Right? Yeah.
And then also with the idle, you can create steeper descents or shallower descents in the managed mode.
Okay.
We don't mess with that really too much. It's already done for us. We just verify it, but it's in the book. So if I went through the book and looked at it a little closer,
Okay.
but it's interesting that they've programmed that in there that you can change it. That's nice.
Well, usually that's done by the maintenance, right? Or you get that in the flight plan and you implement it at first start.
Well, we have these fuel studies monthly, and if there's any kind of a change in the burn factor, then we have to verify it. If you happen to be the first pilot to get in the airplane and there is a change and it's not been implemented yet, you just simply type in ARM and enter the change.
Okay.
All right, so you can go back to the init page.
Okay.
You should be seeing an align on your engine display, and it should say 7 minutes. It should be sitting up there, if I'm not mistaken, already. But you can go ahead and type in your from and to airport.
Jump to the Gold Airport, actually. All right. Right now, the ND is saying no map available. PFD is
good. Now, what happens here is, and I think they've taken this out, but when you click well, first of all, I want you to click the data page. Select the data button.
All right.
Then position monitor. Let's see. Go back one. Just hit data again, and I believe it's IRS. It's not going to be the exact page, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be the exact page. I was just trying to get you something close. But what you're going to see is you're going to see a present position lat-lon, and then you're going to see a GPS position lat-lon. What happens is when you align the IRSs, you can go back to the init page. When you align the IRSs, it's going to use the reference point on the airport automatically.
It's not going to use the GPS position?
No, but you can make it use the GPS position.
Okay.
So if you go to the init page,
I have to hit align IRS or?
Yeah, hit init.
Press align IRS.
Now, if you do hit that, it should take you to that page, but it's just going to align the IRS, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, see, that's something that's different. It's not exactly like it is in the airplane, but that's okay.
Okay.
Now, what they've done, move your arrows up and down. You see where it says lat 4543.5?
Yeah. Okay.
If you move your arrow up and down.
All right. I see that.
It should change.
It's changing, yeah, it's changing.
Okay, that is done on the other page. So what you would do is you would look at your current GPS position, and then you would adjust your lat and lon to match the GPS position, and then you would hit align again, and then it would set your IRSs to where you're located. Now, if you click on the long button, then you can move the position up and down on the long.
Okay, all right. I'll just leave it alone, actually.
So I think what they've done here is they've just put that there. I mean, I've only seen it one way, and it takes you to that page. I'm not saying there couldn't be another version. I don't know, but the Airbus that we fly, it takes you to that alignment page.
Okay. All right. I think well, I've speeded up the alignment process now. It's over.
Okay. So now just go ahead and now you just go ahead and finish with your overhead, just extinguishing all the white lights as you go up and down the panel.
Yep, done. I just have to I clear the hydraulic, the fuel page, so the fuel pumps should be now on.
Do your fire test.
All right, do that again.
Well, before you do that, pull up the electrical page on your system page.
Yep.
And what you're going to do is test your battery charge limiter.
Page, all right. So, all right. So if I get to the electric panel, I guess this is what.
There you go. So now take your batteries and turn your battery switches off.
All right.
Now if you look at your electrical pages, when you turn those switches back on, the BCL is going to connect to the batteries to charge them. Now they're already pretty much charged,
Yeah.
but what should happen is the amperage should go below 60 within 10 seconds.
All right. Check that. It was a. What was I supposed to monitor the tier 1, tier 2 because they?
Nope. Just look at the batteries. You see how the two arrows are connected?
Yeah.
And typically what it does is the amperage could be anywhere from 20, 30, 10, and then it'll slowly drop down to 0, and then the lines will disconnect. So that's good. That's a decent representation.
Okay.
Yeah, now you do your fire tests, and then go to the right side of the panel and just make sure all the white lights are out.
All right, if I leave it pressing off. All right. Okay.
You should also see a fire light right below the engine start switches.
All right. Well, I can't have a look
Right.
both of them at the same time.
You don't have the ability to hook up your track IR?
What I could do actually is press it. And I'm just checking, but I don't see any lights actually. No, there's no lights. If I,
Okay,
I guess it was supposed to be the thing on the left to the start knob.
Yeah, it should right below the engine master switches there.
Yeah, there was nothing showing up. Yeah, so.
It should say fire in red. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So then just the right panel there. I mean, I can look at this panel in about 3 seconds and tell you if everything's set up right. It should pretty much be as is. Now something you would also set up here is if you look on your air conditioning panel, and this seems to change like the news with Airbus. They keep changing it, and I don't know why. But the pack flow will always be in high when the APU is running. It's always high no matter what the switch position is when the APU is on.
Alright, well the APU is not on. Should I power it on right now?
You can, but what one thing you would do is depending on the passenger load, you would put that into low, normal, or high.
Okay.
And like I said, this seems to change with the wind. You know, it used to be like anything over 118. You know, you put to normal. Below that, it's low, and then if the pack system is not able to sustain an appropriate temperature, then you use high.
All right.
But of course, that's but now it's like anything above 140 or something like that. Like I said, it just changes with the wind. I have to look at it again to see, but you'll see that on your system display on the pneumatic page, on air conditioning page.
Yeah, I am. I just switched to that.
Sorry, not the air conditioning, but the bleed page.
All right, bleed page.
Yeah, what they're doing now is if the occupants is below 138, it's low. Above that, it's normal. And then if it's abnormally hot or humid, then you go to high.
For now, it's damn cold, actually. It's like 5 degrees Celsius. It's 4 degrees outside, and cabin temperature is actually not warm
so
enough.
Go ahead and put your APU master on, and let's well, first of all, get rid of your bleed page. It should come up with the APU page automatically. Let's see if it does that. Press your master switch on.
The master switch is on, and when I press APU bleed, should it change?
Well, not yet. Just turn the master on first.
Yeah, it didn't change the page actually.
Okay, go to the page real quick, as fast as you can. Or actually, turn the master back off, and then go to the APU bleed page. So yeah, turn your master back off.
I did.
Okay. So it takes a little while. There's a flap in the back that opens. So go ahead and turn the master on, and it takes a few seconds for that flap to open. It also takes about a minute or so for it to close.
Okay. I'll reopen it. So maybe I should find out.
There you go. So let's wait for it to open. You could actually press the start button now, and it would not start until
yeah, all right. So see flap open now.
So go ahead and hit your start button.
All right, starting up.
Some of these piece of shit APUs we have over here, man, just barely start.
Alright, now it's available.
Okay, and anytime you see the avail light in green, that means all the power requirements are met.
So now I can't hit the APU bleed, right? Should I change before the page for the bleed page to see how it behaves?
Yeah, you can pull the bleed page up.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the page first.
Yeah, alright. Before I hit anything else,
Okay, so I was going to... alright, you can go ahead and connect the APU bleed. Sometimes this takes a little bit of time. You'll see the
PAX 1
cross
is coming
bleed close slowly.
Yeah. Alright, yeah, coming up.
Okay, so you see that number up there at the top? That's the outlet temperature.
Okay.
That needle is the turbine bypass.
Okay.
And as you adjust the temperature, it's going to bypass that depending on whether it wants cold or hot, just to keep things basic. So what I want you to do is take the cockpit cabin, forward and aft cabin knobs, and put them at about the 9 o'clock position. It's up on the air conditioning panel.
Yep. No, 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, sorry. So you want to make it colder?
9. No, make it colder.
Alright.
Yeah, if you were looking straight up at the panel, it'd be the 9 o'clock position.
There we go.
And look at the air conditioning page.
All right, coming up.
So each one of those ticks is 3 degrees, and I believe there you go. Okay, so you see how the forward shows 28 below the 20?
Yeah, it's refreshing now, so its value has changed.
Yeah, so just kind of wait for a second and watch it for a little bit. So the 12 o'clock position of each one of those switches is 24 degrees Celsius. The coldest position is 18.
Okay.
So each tick is 2 degrees.
Okay.
So you're set at 20, and you can see the cockpit says 20, the forward says 22, etc. So if you move those to, say, the 3 o'clock position, you'll be commanding 28 degrees Celsius, and you should see, like, take the cockpit and move it to the 3 o'clock position.
All right, the others I'll give it to 12.
Now, the trim air valve, they don't react that fast. So that's something that they could slow down. It just doesn't happen that fast. In fact, sometimes what you have to do is you actually have to over temperature, take it way past where you want, just to get the valves to react, and then you back it back down. But
the thing that is weird is that the cockpit should be 28, which it is right now, but the cursor is actually showing up cold, which is not, doesn't seem right actually.
Well, the system is reacting really fast. It doesn't react this fast. When I get in the 319, I'll specifically go to the condition page,
okay,
and play around with it and show you.
All
so
right.
put the cockpit back to the 12 o'clock position, 24, and let's watch what it does. It should do it slowly, but watch what it does. So that's commanding a much cooler temperature.
Uh-huh.
And then once it stabilizes, those trim air valves adjust themselves to maintain that temperature. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, it's working, but it's just working fast, a lot faster than what it really would in the airplane. If I could control the temperature this fast, nobody would ever call up and say, "It's hot in the back, Captain."
My balls are freezing.
Yeah, they're always complaining, "Hey, the weather's cold in the back." Okay, so go back to the bleed page.
All right. There we go.
And then switch the pack flow to low and see what it does.
Not much from my perspective.
Below the bypass valve is the pack flow, and as we said earlier, with the APU on, it should always be on high. So it is
high.
Good. So if you had a light load today, you would just flip it on low, and you just leave it there during your cockpit setup.
Okay.
And then once you started the engines, it would go to low.
Okay.
So let's leave it there, and then we'll see what it does
Alright.
once you get the engines running.
Okay. I should probably change the passenger fuel. Just pull out the boarding stuff.
Put enough fuel so you have fuel in the center tank. So you're going to want put 14 tons. Well, you have it metric, right?
Yeah.
I'll put 15 tons in it.
Okay. Oops. Doesn't want to capture.
We'll see if the fuel system operates correctly.
Alright, now I've got 15,000.
I like that little EFB.
Yeah. Alright, so I've set the fuel, so now we see the tanks are currently loaded. And what should I say? 2/3 of passengers, 1/3? What do you want to have?
Put like 100 packs in there.
Alright, so alright.
And we always
Set it.
generally, well, this is just our preference. I don't know that really makes that much difference. But we try to load them so we get a trim setting of about anywhere from 0.5 to 1 down.
Alright, so it's done now. 100 packs.
Look at your performance data. This is interesting.
Trim setting doesn't seem right. Or
Okay, so this is nice.
the load actually is probably not.
Wow, dry operating index 50. Okay. So, okay, 41,244 passenger rate, so we're taking off at 65.4. And where is the trim setting?
I think this is here, the index on the lower end, the lower left.
No, your trim setting would be 1 point something up or down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you have to set your takeoff trim, and I'm trying to see where it's at. Hit set and see what it does.
Yeah, that's what I did. Doesn't change much.
Well, I tell you what, pull up your MCDU and see if it set it for you.
Yeah. I don't think so, but you can have a look.
Okay, well, let's see what the takeoff weight CG is. It's 3177. I'll tell you what the trim should be. Hold up.
It's pre-filling 25, which I guess is standard. But alright, so put the 50.
Go to performance page. Perf.
Oh, perf. Alright. Just showing the takeoff performance thing.
Okay, yeah. See the trim horizontal stabilizer? It's flaps slash THS. That's the setting you have to make.
Okay. So flaps should be like 1 / something.
Okay, so looking at our takeoff weight CG of 3177, looking at my takeoff trim, that should be about 0.7 down. So you would hit 1 for the flaps and then slash 0.7 D in.
D?
0.7
Yeah,
D in.
Alright. I should D and that's all, or I should aim to?
D in and the N.
Okay. Right. Okay. It shows up 1 / D down. 07.
There you go. I'll send you a picture of this takeoff CG trim position.
All right.
And then you'll be able to set it off of that every time.
Okay.
So that's basically setting it up for your takeoff based on your takeoff CG.
Okay.
Cool. It's nice that they've got this EFB. I really like this. They've done a nice job.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very cool that you've got the flexibility to do this. And I would bet, go to your checklist tab on your EFB. Now go to the very bottom. I'll bet somewhere you've got the takeoff trim chart that I'm looking at.
I've got nothing here. It's just the cockpit preparation flows. That's it.
It's got to be in here somewhere. You got to know what sets your trim horizontal stabilizer to.
Yeah.
I would think it'd be under perf data. There's not another page on the perf data.
No, there's nothing else in that. So it's definitely, if you want to set that up, you have to either watch the check the plane's performance, but nothing is pre-computed here.
Okay, I'm sending it to you. Just send it to you on Discord. So what you would do is you would look at your takeoff CG position,
All right.
which in this case TO weight CG is 3177, and you just match that up, and it would be nose down or nose up.
All right, I see that. All right, I see that. Okay. Interesting.
Now this is for one specific aircraft, but you know, close
Yeah.
enough for this simulation.
Well, the thing is that I've got the QRH, so I think I've already got that somewhere.
Okay, good. And that's all you need.
Yeah. All right.
It's on the very back cover for us.
Okay. Yeah, just something you need to say. Alrighty.
So yeah, just go ahead and continue setting everything up and get it ready to start.
Okey-doke. From a hoverhead perspective, I don't think we need anything else except probably the nav lights. Should have set it up, I think, jumped in.
Yeah. Anytime an aircraft
what's the
is
difference?
electrically powered, it should have the nav lights on.
Yeah. What's the difference between nav position 1 and 2? Because nothing has ever been said about what's the difference between nav and logo, like 1, 2, does it? What's the difference between those two? Is like 1 is just the nav lights, and 2 is nav plus logo, or?
No, you have two sets of nav lights on each wing. Should one, like for example, let's say we're in position 1, and I'm doing the walk around, and I go to the right side and I notice the green light's out. I could just go to system 2, and then the system 2 lights will be on. So it's just a backup.
All right. Okay.
And then what we do is, if the captain's flying, you go position 1, and if it's the first officer's leg, you go position 2. That way you're testing the lights each time. So when you do the walk around, you can check them out. So eventually, when you do get a shared cockpit, you'll, depending on whose leg it is, you'll set it up to 1 or 2.
Okay.
And then the logos are on all the time when that switches in either position.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So I guess I'll stick to the preparation of the flight plan. If anything else I need to set, I don't think so.
And since your fuel's on board now, once your fuel's on board, you'll put your seatbelts to on.
Yeah, I should do that, yeah.
And that's the signal to the flight attendants that they could disarm their door now that fueling's complete.
Okay. And should I put now the arm to the emergency lights?
Yes, you'll want to do that as well. That's part of your setup.
Okay.
Now go up to your landing elevation and turn it to the right and then see if it'll move. And you always want it in auto. I always just put my hand on it and turn it to the left so it's at the stop.
What page should I check?
Go to the
pressurization page.
It's the
cabin pressure.
Fuck. No, it's the Go down to the pressure.
Okay.
Okay, you see where it says landing elevation auto?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and move that switch out of that position and see if it changes.
It changes. See manual.
There you go. So put it fully to the left, and I always just reach up with my hand and turn it clockwise just to make sure it's at the stop, and then I go to the pressure page, which is eventually part of the flow. So as I go down and do my flow, I look at the pressure page and it should say auto with the landing field elevation.
Yeah, it is now.
Looks like you have a cargo heat knob up there too on the right side, so you could set the temperature there as well in the cargo compartment.
Oh yeah. Yep. Should I? Alright. It's not active. I cannot set any hot air or whatever. It's not active.
No problem.
Nothing simulated there. Alright. Oh, we'll fan, so let's call safe air France.
And you see that cruise flight level temp?
Yep, that's the standard one.
Yeah, if you were in Saudi Arabia, it's typically ISA plus 20.
Oh, yeah, right. So you'd be minus 29, right?
Well, we would actually be like minus 29.
Yeah. Alright, and cost index, well...
we use 25.
Alright. It's rather a short flight, it's like...
we always use 25.
50 something. Alright, so next...
Some airlines vary it, but we just... we're not as efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got plenty of fuel there. And cheap one. Alright, so setting in now the fuel weight, the zero fuel weight is like 15.4.
What's interesting is the max landing weight is 66 tons, okay? But some aircraft are 64.5 tons. And you know how to get... We can make those aircraft 66 tons, it just costs money. All we have to do is request the change and the paperwork is done.
All right, okay.
It becomes 66 tons. Ain't that a bitch?
It's like Tesla that says, well, you just have like a 90 watts per hour engine and then just switch a trigger and you got it like 110 now.
Yeah, I really don't think there's any changes to the landing gear, to the wings, to the structure, nothing.
I don't think so.
It's all about money.
Exactly. I think it's just cost saving in the end. It's like you get the wear of the parts are actually higher cost when you're operating with a higher weight for sure. So.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, block fuel that we set in.
So I think your takeoff weight is 65.4. So even though it's a short flight, you're tankering fuel, so you'll still be under your max landing.
Yeah, yeah. It shows 65. Yeah, exactly. 65.
So I don't know what the JAR or the JAA or the Europe rules are, but for us, if it's a domestic flight, you're staying within the country. The reserve would be /0, and the final time would be /45 minutes.
All right, so should I set that /0?
You just hit, yeah, you hit /0.
/0
like there, yeah.
45. Okay. I've changed that.
And then 45 minutes for the final time.
All right, it's done now.
There we go. 11 tons extra.
It's just because we're the fuel is cheaper here.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I had you load that up is I want to see the fuel system operate. Because what it does is after the engines are started, for the first 3 minutes, it burns from the center tank to test out the system. And then after that, you can't take off from the center tank.
All right.
So
okay.
you have to make sure you wait 3 minutes for that test to finish,
Okay.
because you're not allowed to. And of course, once you put the flaps in one, I'm trying to remember, this is, I'm going to recurrent. I should study this.
I've read somewhere that for the 3 first minutes after boot up, you shouldn't touch any MCDU keys. Is it true?
Let's see. There's a couple things. Some of the airplanes, yeah, you don't want to touch anything, but some of them you can. But some of the aircraft, you don't want to touch anything, but for the first 3 minutes. But again, like I said, 99.9% of the time when I walk up to an airplane, it's powered up.
Yeah.
We like very rarely pick up an aircraft cold and dark. So, to be more realistic, you should have your aircraft in a basically a transient state.
Yeah. Exactly, because this is, I guess you just have the same time to prep the aircraft, if it's transient or cold and dark.
Right. Well, it's just like half the time you may even be standing at the gate when the flight pulls in. As soon as all the passengers and crew get off, you jump in and go.
Yeah. Like, how many rotation actually planes can do a day? 15?
Well, it depends on how long the legs are, but our sometimes 4, 8, 12.
All right. Okay.
Could be.
Okay. All right, so let's get in the flight plan and start setting things up. Departure. Not checked the wind actually. I took the XM guard plug again, so I need to check the weather briefing. It's actually wrong. Hopefully it's working.
And I need to get back in the books. I'm rusty. Seriously.
Alright, weather briefing. Refresh. Alright, so what does it say? Wind is 260, 1 knots. Alright, almost no wind. So we'll depart from 35 left. And
yeah, here it is. It says the center tanks run automatically for 2 minutes after engine start. Before or after the start sequence, the pumps run if the slats are retracted.
okay. Oh shit, I forgot. Weights. I know that right by heart because I usually do that for my test flights whenever I take a new plane I've got. Because the flight is pretty short and you have to climb pretty high. So whenever I'm trying to test the settings for it, I take that route because I know it's going to be challenging for the plane to see if the performance is there.
Do you have different airways that you're going to travel on this flight?
I've got only one airway.
Okay. So if you have different airways,
I
you
just
could
yeah, just
the
set the
airway.
airways and it calculates
Yeah.
the intersection point. Yeah. Good. All right. So all right, flight plan seems to be. I should actually check the plan. Check that.
So when you're setting up your FMS, use the acronym. I'll send it to you on Discord.
Expected. If the flight is like 45 minutes long, would you already implement on the ground the arrival parameters, or you would wait to be in the air?
What parameters?
The landing procedure, like the start procedure for if the flight is like 40 minutes long, would you wait to be in cruise mode to implement that, or if you've already got the information on the ground, you would preset that?
I guess there's a couple schools of thought. If you put in a star and an approach that you may not get,
yeah, sure.
You could accidentally follow something you're not supposed to. So, but like what we do, for example, when we go to Dubai, we look at the weather report, and if we see that they're landing to the northwest, we know it's going to be the DESD-1 Charlie. So we'll go ahead and put that in. And then, of course, once you contact an ATC facility close to the airport, they know this and they'll tell you, okay, DESD-1 Charlie 30 left. So then you can just verify it or insert it at that time.
Okay.
But for accurate fuel predictions, I like to put in the star and the approach that I expect on the ground.
Okay. And you change that when you got different information from the controller, right?
Exactly. It's just very easy to do. So, but that acronym I sent you is diff RIP. Diffs. So you go data, init, flight plan.
Okay.
And then your second sweep is radnav, init, performance.
Okay. Alright, I'm checking the arrival right now, and it has already pre-selected the position. Alright, okay. Flight plan is good to go, so what do you say?
Now what you could do here before you activate that is go to your plan page, and then you could review it.
Yeah, that's what I did earlier, actually.
Okay, good.
Alright, so once
have you put in your alternate yet?
No.
Okay, go to your init page, and you'll want to put your alternate in as well.
Alternate. Okay.
So your init page.
That's not good. So is it like alternate? No, that's a company route.
Yeah, but I mean, you could have a company route saved. So for example, if like when we select an alternate, there's already a company route from our location to, and
well,
it'll
it doesn't show
so something close.
It doesn't show like it shows alternate company route, or okay, so I can select only the airports for the alternate and not set it in the company route in there.
Well, let's say for example, LFPG was your alternate today. So you would put in LFPG, and if you have a pre-saved route from LFLL to LFPG, that would come up when you enter the airport.
Okay. All right. So for example, here, we landing in.
So what you can do is as you enter routes, save them, and then when you enter these airports, your route will come up.
Yeah, well, there's a file actually I can edit, and it will populate the flight routes and everything. So I'll do that with a text file because this is the format you see here. So whatever. It's like, what's the code for Brussels? It's like EBBR.
For who?
Brussels.
Try it. What the hell? We got enough fuel.
Yeah, EBBR.
Probably put in Riyadh.
All right, alternate is EBBR now. All right, so well, as you said, the rules are different basically. So I've done the flight plan. Then R would be what the
Well, go
nav.
yeah, it would be RadNav. But go back to your flight plan. Now you want to build your alternate route.
Okay.
And I'll show you how to do that. You don't have to do it here, but I can show you how to do it.
Okay.
So it'd be under flight plan and go down arrow.
All right, I see end of alternate flight plan. All right.
But use your down arrow so you don't have to scroll through your full flight plan. Okay, there you go. So now, if you have a VOR at LFPG, you would just enter it right over EBBR, and then you would build your alternate flight plan the exact same way you built your regular flight plan.
All right, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Or if it was a saved route, it would be automatically populated. So whatever the VOR is at LFPG, you could just enter that, enter the VOR at EBBR, and then there's your direct flight plan between the two VORs.
Okay. All right, but anyway, you got air traffic control, so it would probably set you up to route or whatever if you need to.
Well, this is something we can test. Let's, if you got a little flight plan to put in there, this is something we can test in the MCDU.
All right.
For example, for a diversion.
So what should I say? I should check for the.
Yeah, let me look and see. I'll try and help you out here. Maybe there's a. Maybe there's a flight. There's a typical route.
You can check on SkyVector actually. Because there's obviously.
Oh yeah, there's airways here. Very nice.
Yep.
So put your first fix as, let's do Mike Tango Delta.
So what should I should put that as the flight discontinuity, right? Or
nope, put it over EBBR,
okay.
Mike Tango Delta. My mouse was on your Twitch page, so I was trying to click the MCDU.
You can't yet. You can't yet. All right, MTD and.
Now don't insert it yet. Now just click MTD.
All right, so we can set the, I guess, next waypoint or airways.
Yeah, so do click MTD, and then the airways page will come up.
Okay. Now I'm in airways, so just check.
So put November 874 to, and then your next airway is Mike 617.
Yeah.
And then put your last fix as HUL.
Those are low altitude airways, right?
Yeah, sorry, man, I was on the wrong page. Yeah, let's get you something that's high altitude, sorry. But
Yeah.
no, it's still high altitude.
All right, okay. Because usually the upper airways are usually start with a U. Uniform.
Yeah, so the 617 will end at Charlie, India Victor. It's interesting that Europe, SkyVector is in Europe like this. This is sweet. And then you can put BUB for Brussels after that. Just right into the 2.
So that's direct to Brussels. VOR, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just a half-ass. So, and then hit temporary and insert.
There we go. Ooh. something's wrong here.
Now, go to your
if you check
fuel
BUB,
prediction page.
If you check BUB, is that the distance?
Ah, it's too far away. Okay, so there's something messed up there. Yeah. So just take away BUB. Just get rid of it.
It's weird. You should have. It doesn't it ask for?
Well,
if there are a couple. Wait, if there are a couple VORs with the same name, shouldn't he ask for which one are you selecting?
It should.
Okay. Let me check. If I set here. No, I can't. If I click here and next waypoint, I set that as BUB.
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead and put it in under flight plan discontinuity. Let's see what it does. BUB. Just don't do it there. Now don't do it there. Do it on the flight plan page.
All right, okay. I'll return that.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
All right, flight plan.
There you go.
All right, so now we've got that. So we've got something like 312, which means, well, which obviously is.
That's the one.
That's the one. All right, now it's better.
114.6. The frequency matches. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's all right. Inserted, and now it's okay. Yeah, now it's okay.
Now, just for grins here, go to the fuel prediction page.
Okay.
It's on the MCDU.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good. So go to the init page. It should not be populated right now. That'll all populate after engine start. But a couple of things will populate it after engine start. Go to the next page on init. Let's finish our initialization now.
Okay, so the alternate time, right? Is it?
Yeah. So like do the init page, next page.
Yep.
Okay, so an extra 10.8. The FMS is saying that for your well, that's interesting. See where it says alternate time? That should be populated.
I see.
That should tell you how long it's going to take you to get to your alternate.
Well, so 10.8 is not accurate? It's not...
Well, where it says alternate in time, if I'm trying to think, sitting in the airplane, that should be populated because... but let's just see what it does once you get started. Now, your CG is not right, I don't think, or did it populate it for you automatically?
No, it's the default one. It's like when you pop into the plane, it's 25. It's always 25.
So look at your performance and make sure you got the right zero fuel weight CG in there.
All right, so 35.7, right?
Well, that was takeoff. Look at your, oh no, maybe you're right.
That was 35.7.
Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, you'll want to put that in there.
All right. Okay, got that now.
Okay, good. Now check your fuel prediction page. You see you're there. Boy. Yeah, that alternate time is there, man. I don't know why it's disappeared. It must be just something with the sim that they have to do.
Probably, I think they have not implemented everything for the alternate.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure it's working actually. You can implement that in the MCDU, but I'm not sure it's fully.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so you would do data, init, flight plan, and you just built your flight plan, and the next thing you're going to do is RIP. RIPS, R-I-P-S. So you'll do the rad nav. Okay, now what we do here is we enter backup. So say for example, once you do your departure, for example, there might be an airway that you're going to join, and that airway might be based off of a VOR and a course. So we would put that in as a backup. So in case, something happened and we needed to use green needles, we needed to use our VOR page, it would already be set up. So for example, if it was DJL and it was a 36-degree course, we would enter that on both sides.
Well, the DG, Delta Juliet Lima is actually the only VOR we've got on course, so...
Now that's going to auto-tune those the way
Yeah.
you have it now, so you have to hard-tune it by entering it.
Oh yeah. Well, for now it's already pre-selected on that VOR, so if I...
Right, but as soon as you get away and get to a closer VOR, it'll switch. So you don't want to do that initially.
Okay.
You want to actually select it because you want it to stay on
Okay,
that
so
VOR.
VR1 I should select it. That's what I did.
We do both of them.
Both of them. All right. Okay.
So DJL and then whatever the course is from that VOR to the next, you would put in there.
All right. Oh yeah, we've got so Tango Romeo Oscar. That is the course should be, well, exiting DGL. Basically, the course I see on the route is 322 actually.
So yeah, so the first course you might intercept, this is just a backup of that course in case you need it.
Okay.
Now if you go up onto your EFIS panel and select VOR, you should see that course.
I have it.
Okay, very good.
Not sure how long. So, I don't see the course is not selected.
Now flip the knob to VOR.
All right,
just above that.
Oh yeah, now it's yeah. For 322 is selected.
Okay, good. So that's just a backup. And then once you pass through 10,000, we do our 10,000 checks, and one of the requests that the pilot monitoring will say is, would you like me to clear
the
RadNav settings and then copy the secondary, copy the active to the secondary. So clear copy? Yes, clear copy. So at 10,000 feet, you would clear those navs, and you go to the secondary and select copy active.
Okay.
And that's the procedure at 10,000. So, okay, so diff rips. So RadNav, now you go back to the init page, and once you get the final paperwork, this is when you enter the actual zero fuel weight and the actual information on the second page of the init. So the first time you go to the init page, you're just setting this up. The second time you move the arrow to the right, and you would enter your final load information that you get once they come in with the final paperwork, and that would be the zero fuel weight, the CG, your block fuel.
Okay.
You don't want to put any of that in before you build the flight plan, because what will happen is each time you enter a fix, the system is going to calculate everything, and it'll take forever to build your flight plan. So you always build the flight plan before you finalize the init page.
Okay.
This is probably not implemented into the sim.
No,
but in
the computing is actually really efficient in that sim. So
I always make a joke with the new first officers. I say, do you know why it takes so long when you enter information into the MCDU? They're like, no, why? I say, well, you enter it in English, it has to be translated to French, calculated, then retranslated back to English to display, and they're like, really?
And most of them are engineers, right?
Yeah. But it actually makes sense.
Yeah, well, you're insulting me, and you're insulting my...
Oh, I'm sorry, you are French. I'm sorry, my bad. No, it's just...
Yeah, I figured out you forgot about that, so no offense taken. But.
No, I love the French.
All right, so I think we're kind of set here.
Okay, so that was R, I, and then P. You want to go to your performance page, because once you get your final numbers, you'll calculate your performance. It's not wrong.
All right, so now I know that here, so we already pre-selected the flaps 1 and the
so now you got to calculate your speeds based on are you doing an intersection takeoff, what runway are you using? You've got 3-5 left, so do you have the ability to get performance data from that EFB?
No, not for the V1. Actually, the
God, this is what pisses me off. See,
VR actually rotate and V2. If I click here, they are pre-calculated actually. But V1.
Oh, well, that's fine. That's fine.
V1, I have to set it manually. But the others I pre-calculated actually.
So something like TopCat, if you've heard of that, could give you some actual performance data, but I don't know if it's designed for X-plane.
I mean, there's nothing preventing you from using that. It's just that it depends on the flight model used for the plane. That's it. It's just not. There's nothing preventing you from doing that.
So, I mean, I can give you a little bit of insight here on what to do with your V1. There's lots of factors that come into play, like, you know, many things could be obstacle, your unstick speed, minimum control speed, all of this stuff come into play. But a program like the EFB, or like the program, it's called FlySmart is what we use on the iPad for our takeoff performance. So what I do is, based on the condition of the aircraft, tires, brakes, stuff like that, condition of the runway, I'll decide, do I want to be go-minded or do I want to be stop-minded? Meaning, if I have a problem, do I want to set my V1 so I've got the most amount of time to stop, or have I decided that if I have a problem, I want to take care of it in the air? Okay. So based on runway conditions, condition of the brakes, tires, stuff like that, and the margin, how much runway do I have left if I stop? So if I set that V1 to 136 or 137, is it going to give me a little bit of room at the end of the runway? If it does, and runway conditions aren't so good, condition of the tires aren't so good, I don't want to do that, right? Because there's a potential of an overrun. So, but if I've got a big margin between my takeoff, my stop distance, and the end of the runway, then I'll be stop-minded. So if I have that large margin, then I'll put the V1. My personal preference is just one knot below VR.
All right, so 136.
However, if there's little margin and conditions aren't so good, then I don't want to overrun the runway. So I might be more go-minded. So you might see a 130 or a 128. All right. So in this case, with the speed so low, the takeoff distance is probably not going to be very long. So I would just put it at 136.
We got like 4 kilometers runway here. The takeoff.
So it's like a 12,000-foot runway or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's 3,000.
So I'd put 136, 137, and 141.
Okay. So that 136. And so what's happening if you? All right. So V1 basically is if you bring up to V1, it's a decision if you have to abort takeoff or you need to continue takeoff, right?
Right, and another thing too is I see guys do this a lot. Let's say the program calculates V1. In this case, let's say it starts at 120. All right. So that means legally and per procedure, if they had a fire in the cabin at 121 knots, they would have to continue. Right.
Okay.
Right, because you're past V1, you have to go.
Yes.
So that doesn't make any sense to me. If I'm going to have 2 kilometers of runway left when I stop, why on earth would I have my V1 set at 120?
Yeah.
I want as much time as possible to make the stop decision if I've got a lot of runway left. So if I have that cabin smoke at 132 and my V1 is set at 136, I can stop. Because what's going to happen, let's say you just decide to stop anyway, right? You set your V1 at 120 and at 125 you stop. That's no problem. You stop the airplane. You know you've got the room, but whenever the regulating authority comes after you afterwards, they're going to say, why'd you stop the airplane after V1? They're not going to say, nice job, you saved all the passengers. They're going to say, why'd you stop the airplane after V1? Yeah. So it's kind of like that's kind of the decision that you got to make. If you've got plenty of runway left, use a higher V1. and be more stop-minded if the conditions of the runway and the conditions of the aircraft permit. So anyway, that's some background.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, what's it going to do if you hit flex?
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
I guess I need to input a value here. Is it supposed to be pre-calculated here?
Well, the speeds that you have are probably pre-calculated for toga. These are toga speeds. So let's see. Let me think. What's the current? What's your field elevation?
780, I think. It's like take 800. 800.
Okay, 800. So ISA should be about
current temperature is
13.
Check the weather briefing.
2 degrees per thousand. So ISA temperature would be 13 roughly.
Yeah. It's
So
8,
set your flex. Set your flex
degrees.
to like 63.
All right, it's 8 degrees Celsius right now.
All right, set your flex to like 63.
63. Okay. Check takeoff data. All right.
Okay. And then now what you're going to want to do is click those. Now that you've set your flex, click each one of those again and see what they adjust it to.
Now the lab again. Yeah. They're already pre-calculated. You cannot recompute those.
That's interesting because those speeds should change between a flex and a toga. See if you can clear them.
Yeah, I'll clear them. Yeah. Exactly the same thing. All right. Yeah. It's
okay.
just
There
showing
you
up
go.
the same values. Yeah.
Same values. Okay. Interesting.
What's the takeoff shift?
Okay. So, if you do an intersection takeoff. Well, first of all, as soon as you set takeoff power, the aircraft automatically resets its current position. Basically, tells the INS system that, hey, the ADRS, all that stuff, it aligns it to the current position that the aircraft is at. That's as soon as you hit takeoff thrust. But what you do if you do a takeoff shift, if you like do an intersection takeoff, you go ahead and pre-select the shift between the full length and the intersection. So say, for example, today you did an intersection takeoff and the difference between full length and intersection is like 500 meters. You would put that into the takeoff shift. And it's just to help the system, give a more accurate position.
When you mean intersections takeoff, is that crossing runways or it's...
Taxiway.
Okay.
So I'm not looking at your airport diagram, but find a taxiway that's...
All right, so you don't get the full length of the runway. Is that what you mean?
Exactly.
Okay.
But that's just to basically help it, get a more accurate position at takeoff. Even though when you set takeoff thrust, it automatically sets the navigation system to the current position, you still should set the takeoff shift yourself.
Okay. Understood.
Now the other thing you need to do here is your thrust reduction and acceleration altitude. Typically this is 1,000 feet above the field.
All right, so it's 1,800,
right? So now if you have any kind of a noise abatement procedure, sometimes noise abatement will say 1,500 feet above the field, reduce the thrust, and 2,000 feet above the field, you can accelerate and clean up. Then you would set that accordingly. So hit a slash and then another 1,800.
All right, so same thing for the acceleration.
Yeah, so you do 1,800 slash 1,800.
Okay, it's done now. Should I change also the engine out acceleration?
Yes, that's typically 1,500 AGL, so it's set already.
Okay.
That's it. Sometimes the engine out will be set right, and the thrust reduction and accel you'll have to change. And other times it's flip-flop, so it just depends.
Okay.
So the performance page is set up. So let's see, diffs, RIP. Now the next thing you want to do is secondary flight plan.
can either build it from scratch or copy active.
Yeah, so typically it's DIFS. DIFS, you would build it after the flight plan, but we skipped it. So what you want to do is copy the active, and then you got to make a decision here. Are you at an airport to where they may change the runway and the departure procedure on you? This very rarely happens. But what we typically do is we set the secondary up for a return to the airport should we have an emergency. So you copy the active, and then you go into the secondary flight plan.
Okay, that's what I did.
Okay, now pick a fix after the departure.
I'll take
So let's
Danbo.
see, do Danbo. So click Danbo.
Okay.
Now, where it says new destination, put the departure airport. This is for a return to the airport.
All right.
You could also put a different runway and a different departure procedure as your secondary, but typically we want a return to the field. So all we have to do if we have to come back is we just activate the secondary.
Okay, because the chances that between the moment that you actually start taxi and the briefing is you might not change runway, right?
Yeah, it's just easy enough for the pilot monitoring,
Yeah,
the first officer, just to go in there and make a quick change. He's going to run numbers and everything. You got to run numbers and everything anyway if it changes.
Yeah.
So we just do a return to the field. So now click your destination and select the approach you expect to get if you would return. And you could put an arrival in there or a via as well. So we typically just put in the approach we expect. Should be return.
Probably ILS 35, right? And I don't. What's the procedure?
And then that's just good enough.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't know the procedures.
If you return, you're not getting an arrival, man. If you have to return, they're going to vector you onto the approach. That's just the bottom line.
So I just select the runway. That's it.
And hit return.
Okay. All right. Now it's selected the 35 right for the airfield.
Okay. So let's go ahead now and set the performance for the approach. So hit secondary flight plan.
And performance, all right.
So this is coming back to hit performance and hit next phase until you get to approach.
All right.
So bottom right key.
Yeah. I'm on the key now.
There's a delay. I keep forgetting that. Now you're going to take your current weather on the ATIS and fill everything in. So now whenever you return and you activate the secondary, if you get that runway, everything is set up. All you have to do is brief the approach, and if it's an overweight landing, do your overweight landing checklist, and you're set.
Right now it says winds. There's a variation of 2 knots, which is, I would say,
I just put calm, 0/0.
All right. Transition altitude is fantastic. One thing I've noticed last time is that when you go into landing mode, the when on the ACAS, what it says, the checklist reminder for landing, if you select the config 3 for the flaps, it actually still shows up full.
Okay, go to your overhead panel. Select config 3.
Where is that supposed to be? I've never seen that.
Okay, so zoom in on your overhead. It's on the bottom left.
Okay.
It's on the GPWS panel. You have to tell it landing flaps 3 by pressing that button.
Okay.
But you won't do that now. You'll do that
Okay.
once you,
All
you
right.
know, once you come back around. You'll
All
say,
right.
you know, if you're doing a return to the field, you're not going to do landing flaps 3. This would be,
Yeah, that will be
if
full
you're
flaps,
doing the
yeah.
normal approach, you would say, hey, we're light today, let's do a landing 3. So you set it in the MCDU, and then you press landing
All right.
flaps 3.
Okay. All right. Okay. I get it now.
Is that an option when you put your mouse over it?
Yeah. It's an option. Yeah. You actually can select it. Yeah.
So DIFS RIP, you're set.
Okay.
Now you just
select now the altitude.
Yeah.
The traffic
you get your
controls.
clearance at the gate if it's available.
Yeah. Well, let's skip
Right.
that.
And once everything's set up, you'd run your before start checklist down to the line.
All right. So let's check what.
Well, you do your takeoff briefing, and then you run your checklist.
Uh-huh. All right. So.
Zoom in. I want to see what the before start looks like.
Fueling, verify disconnected, weight balance insufficient.
Okay, not even close. You want the checklist or not? I could send it to you.
I have the QRH.
But I mean, okay, so hang on a second. I have to clarify. It's a little different. Some airlines, you can change it around. You know, if they say do it the Airbus way, then it would be the checklist I'm sending.
I can pull up the QRH.
That's the Airbus way.
I have the QRH for the A320, so I can
But I mean, this is okay for the sim. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you want the checklist out of the FCOM, I can send it to you.
I have it. I have it. So
right. So I mean, for everyday pilots that are just doing this as a sim, this is fine. It's right there. It's on the EFB. Just run it.
Yeah. Yeah, because on the true document you'll get the PF and PNF checklist.
Exactly.
All right. So what does it say?
So this is where I'm talking, like, for example, if I wanted to use, like, you know, before I go to a PC for training, there are some sims, like when I was flying the Embraer, it was close enough that I could use this to prepare.
Okay.
And I don't mean take it up and fly it. I mean just kind of go through the flows and you could fly it, but you know, this is where kind of like, you know, stuff like this it's a little bit of negative training. So you would just use it for recreation rather than preparing, you know, before you go to a sim or something like that.
All right. So I've got to check this thing now. So barrel reference set, checked. Flight director check on both sides. LS means landing sequence, right, or something else?
Let me see the checklist. Oh, no. That's for the ILS.
Okay, so it says LS as required. I don't know if we need to put that on.
Yeah, like I said, this checklist is unfamiliar to me. So.
Oh, that's the Airbus training. That's the simulator Airbus 20 simulator training official one. ND mode and range. So I'll keep that at 20 miles.
You want both of your on your EFIS panel. You want both of your VOR switches on, and you want to be in constraint at the top, CSTR. That way, any of your altitude and speed constraints will show up on your nav display, and you want to be in the ARC mode.
So the PNF will be in VOR and the pilot will be in ARC mode, right?
Nah, they'd both be in ARC mode.
Okay.
If your first turn is like greater than 70 degrees, then you would be nav and 20. But if it's more of a straight out departure,
it's a
straight
out departure.
So then ARC, and then you could just zoom in 20, 40, whatever you want. So now any constraint, speed, altitude would show up on your nav display, and you would see those. Good. Now on your departure, is it going to be a vector departure or is it going to be like an RNAV?
It's an RNAV departure.
Okay, good. So you see climb and nav on your PFD. That means as soon as you depart, the nav is going to arm and capture.
Yeah. All right. FCU set. Yeah, that's it. Oxygen mask test. That's on
That's behind you to the left. See if they test properly. That's curious.
the oxygen mask. Got nothing active here, so I don't think so. Oh, that's the window ship.
No, bottom left. Look behind you. There you go.
All right. Yeah. Now I have to click the pin. Get the window back. No, there you cannot change the oxygen mask. You cannot test.
Okay,
anything.
no problem. I mean that would be just more for for procedure.
Yeah, exactly.
To just kind of do your procedures. That's all. No big deal.
All right. So, pilot flying, instrument panel, check brightness, adjust. All right. Loudspeaker set. Never done that. Is there something on the overhead regarding the speaker stuff? Loudspeaker
No,
set.
speaker would be on the bottom. Look on the main panel, left of your PFD.
Okay.
And typically you want that in
All
the
right,
1 o'clock
Okay.
1 o'clock position.
Loudspeaker.
It's right next to your PFD.
All right. Yeah, I see that. I see that. All right. Loudspeaker. 1 o'clock.
It's way too loud. It'll drive you out of the cockpit.
Well, if you start singing, yeah, probably.
Hey, move your mouse over to the ND knob right there on that panel, and there should be two settings: the inner knob and the outer.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, press terrain. It's right next to your bottom right of your nav display. Press the terrain button.
Uh-huh.
And let's see what comes up on the nav display. Okay, now turn that outer knob to the left and it'll dim that terrain. And if weather was up, it would also dim the weather.
Yeah, the big one, not the little one.
Yep, the outer knob. So the pilot flying has typically got the weather radar on, and the pilot not flying, if terrain is a factor, would have terrain on his side. Can you set them separately?
Well, the weather radar is not simulated yet.
Right, so you would turn off your nav display, your terrain, and see if you can turn on the terrain only on the the first officer side.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, good. So that would be the configuration.
All right, yeah, and I can't get the weather display actually on the end yet.
That's good. That's how it'd be set up. But they wouldn't turn that on until you start taxiing. So
yeah.
Push the terrain button. Yeah.
That would not be. Well, I would say that would not be good for the on-the-ground personnel, right?
Well, not necessarily. It's just annoying, but just part of the checklist. Once you start taxiing and you recheck your instruments, then a pilot not flying would go terrain.
Okay. All right. So what does it say then? Fuel quantity check. I've got 14,790. I believe we actually have enough for whatever we're going to do anyway.
Yes, the around the world trip.
Yeah. All right, so takeoff briefing performed. ATC code. Let's put that to 2,000 actually.
So do you want to see if there's a couple of detail things modeled here before we start?
Yeah, all right, okay.
All right, pull up the hydraulic page on the systems display. There we go. Okay, hydraulics. All right, you have rudder pedals, right?
Yep.
All right, what I want you to do is look down at the park and brake. Well, first of all, look at the accumulator pressure right by the landing gear handle. Do you see that the top arrow?
Green zone.
It's right up there by the landing gear handle.
Yeah, I've got that.
Okay, so as you cycle the parking brake on and off, that accumulator pressure should go down. See if that happens. So exercise your parking brake handle about 4 or 5 times. Haha, very good. Keep going. Nice. Okay, that's good. So set your parking brake.
All right.
Now, typically when we're on the line, we're sitting around waiting for the ground staff to close the cargo doors. Now, we don't sit there and look at the hydraulic page, but if they were to close the cargo doors, that yellow on the right would go green because it's going to use the yellow electric to power the hydraulics to close that door. So open the cargo door, any one of the cargo doors there.
They're already open, actually.
Okay, so when you close them, the yellow will energize, so you'll see that green line.
All right,
and then the accumulator pressure, the accumulator will be recharged because the hydraulic system is energized, so it's going to recharge that accumulator.
All right,
so rather than looking at that yellow page, I just watch the accumulator charge, and then I know they're closing the cargo door.
All right, so you want me to close that and check the...
Close them.
All right.
So you'll see that yellow system energized from the electric pump. There it goes. Now look at the accumulator pressure. It charged up.
Yeah.
Very good. Very cool.
All right.
So that's modeled. I like to see that. So if I was sitting at the gate waiting for the cargo doors to close and I saw that accumulator pressure come up, I'd know I could go to the hydraulic page or the doors page. So now you go to your doors page and they should be closed. Because what you really should do is if that accumulator pressure is out of the green, you should energize the electric pump to bring it into the green before you start. So, but all I do is just wait for them to close the door. So the other way to energize that is exercise your parking brake a couple times and get it to come out of the green.
That's already what we've done, right? So should I?
Yeah, just bring it down. Just exercise the parking brake a few times. And just get it out of the green again. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm seeing some of the text there. It's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Now go to your overhead panel to your hydraulics page. Set the brake, set the parking brake, and then go up to the hydraulic panel on the overhead.
Yep.
So if you had this scenario here and the cargo doors were already closed, then before you push, you have to have the parking brake set, and then before you push back, you would go up and energize the yellow electric pump.
All right.
So it's far right on the top, electric pump.
Electric pump.
You turn that on.
Okay. I see that. All right.
Not that one. No, not that one. The one to the right.
Hey, I did that. All right. Okay, so now pressure.
Now look at your accumulator pressure.
Yeah.
And once it's into the green, you turn that back off.
Yeah, it is. I turned that off before. I should have been checking.
There you go. Yeah, I like to see that stuff because that kind of stuff is what you check. You know, as part of your procedure. So that to see that stuff modeled is very cool.
Okay.
I don't like the regulator low pressure though. Are you sure that the crew oxygen button is not functional?
Crew supply, no, I can't.
Yeah, get rid of the hydraulic page. Go back to the doors page. Just click on hydraulic and then go back to the standard page.
Well, I'm on the door page, door oxygen.
Yeah, so maybe that once you turn the engines on, that'll go away.
Yeah, I think so because there's no way I can
okay
change that right now.
But you know, these guys have done such a good job so far maybe later on down the road with different versions, they'll start activating some of these panels.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so when you see that regulator low pressure, that just means your crew oxygen. You just need to energize it. And,
Okay.
And then it opens the valve, and the regulator pressure is normal, and that goes away.
Okay.
All right, well, that was cool. So, yeah, go ahead and...
Start the engines.
Typically, you start during the pushback.
All right, so you don't start one engine and then the second one once you're on the
yeah, you start number 2 first.
Okay.
But that's usually done during the pushback. But if you want to start it at the gate to keep it simple, go ahead.
All right, hold on. All right, Rush, you're in.
Oh, thanks, mate.
All right, we're still preparing the cockpit right now, as you can see. Yeah, Sandman, so Rush is the guy you actually saw the video yesterday. I posted it.
Ah, okay. How you doing, man?
Good, mate. How are you?
Good.
Nice
What
to
part,
internet meet you.
Yeah, as well. What part? You're from the UK, I guess, yeah?
No, Australia. I live in Canada
okay.
now, though.
You went from hot to cold.
Yeah, it's one of the stupider decisions I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, don't say that and your girl is up.
Yeah.
All right. So okay. So all right. So you know what? I request the pushback.
All right, do your thing. Fire it up.
All right, pre-planned pushback. I don't think you've got that actually. Have not seen it. You probably have not seen that until now. Better pushback. You probably should use it whenever you.
Wow, that's cool. I like
yeah.
that. Holy cow, I've never seen that. Of course, I haven't flown any airliners on X-Plane. It's always just that little...
It's just like doing work all over again.
I wish I could show this picture to the ground crew sometimes, because they really jack up the pushback.
All right, pushback should be coming up, and I'll wait for it to... Start pushback.
Run to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
I think this is a friend of mine actually did the French voice for that. I'll have to ask him. I'm almost sure this is his voice. I mean, 95% sure this is his voice.
Don't forget to disconnect your ground power too.
Oh yeah, shit. The AP should be taking over.
So the below the line, when you do your below the line checklist, you make sure your side window's closed. You look at your doors page and make sure those doors are closed.
Yeah, everything's closed. Windows, cockpits.
Okay,
your beacon is
all
on.
doors and hatches are closed.
Sorry?
Ready to connect.
Make sure your beacon is on.
Oh,
your rotating beacon.
All right, now it's on.
And if the bypass pin inserted, I forget what it says up there, but nose wheel steering should be in green. But they should insert that. Maybe that's not simulated. It's no big deal, but you're looking for that in green, and then after you start the first engine, it'll go to amber.
Oh, okay. Because I know there's like the push button here on the steering wheel. That's the only thing I have.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't show the nose wheel steering, so that's okay. It's, when you start your pushback, maybe they'll insert it.
Connected and bypass pin inserted.
That's one of the things you check.
All right, so now the voice, the background voice, it says that pin is inserted. Please remove the parking brake.
Okay,
so
try
now
it.
I remove the parking brake.
See if that shows up on the...
All right.
It won't be yellow until
it
until
says
after
now
the
nozzle
first engine
steering
starts.
disconnected. Now it says nozzle steering disconnected.
Okay, good. And after you start the first engine, it'll go to amber.
Okay, so now should I start the number 1?
Number 2.
Number
Start
2, all right.
2.
Okay, so start and number 2. All right, and do N2 coming up.
Get rid of your door page. That should automatically go to the engine page.
All right, yeah.
You might have door page selected.
Yeah. So when I go to clear, right, or recall, is that supposed to?
And just click on door. Click on door and get rid of it. Just click on whatever's
All right,
lit
okay.
up there.
Yeah. All right, now I got that.
Okay, so your starter control valve is open. You got good bleed pressure. It's firing up.
Now you see the message now is amber. We started the engine.
Yeah, at 50%, the valve will close, and the aircraft will accelerate. And you're looking, you know, for normal engine parameters. There's your nose wheel steering disconnect amber. That's correct. And once a veil pops up above your N1, that would be your indication to go ahead and start number 1.
All right, so we already.
Some aircraft don't have the veil, and I don't remember which, you know, how to tell which ones will or won't. But
well, I can. Yeah, it was showing up here. Was showing up.
Once it stabilizes, then I just go ahead and start number 1.
Okay. All right, number 1 coming up.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Can you zoom in a little bit on the upper display?
I'm trying to get the 2 version out. All right, now I can set back the brake.
Okay, good.
Disconnecting tow. Standby.
It's got a pretty realistic spool up time as well.
Okay.
And these are the CFM engines. Otherwise, it would be EPR.
Oh,
yeah, there's the avail. Good. So your typical engine parameters starting with N1 is 2, 4, 6, and I say a half. And what that means is about 20% N1, about 400 EGT. It's usually a little bit less. N2 should be 6, about 60%, and then half. I say half. What that means is it should be 300 fuel flow. So half of 60 would be 30, and then that's just my way to remember 300. So 2, 4, 6 and a half is roughly what we're looking for.
Okay.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a
Flip
safe
your
flight.
switch back off of ignition. As soon as you flip that on, the packs go off for about 30 seconds. So if you don't start your engine after 30 seconds, they come back on. So you flip your switch back to normal and on your after start.
After start. Engine mode selector to norm. It's done. APU bleed off. Check. Engine anti-ice as required. It's like 8 degrees outside. Should I?
No visible moisture. So
Yeah.
if you don't have visible moisture, then just leave it on.
Okay. Wing anti-ice.
Same thing.
All right. No visible moisture, so leave it off.
Of course, obviously, once you climb into those clouds,
Yeah, we'll have to.
you'll put engine on, and then you'll only put wing on if you get an ice detection. But if you don't have the detectors, then you just look at the ice detector right there outside your front window, and if it starts to pick up ice, then you turn the wing on.
Okay. APU master switch as required. Should I leave it on?
It'll be off. You don't need the APU to drive any kind of bleed, so it's almost always off.
All right, for the pilot non-flying ground spoilers arm. I'll do that right now. Rudder trim 0. Check. Flaps set. So I'll say flaps 1. pitch stream set, so I need to have that to down.
So move your stick, and it'll bring up the flight control page. I just pushed the stick forward.
Yeah, I did. All right, so now it's live. All right, we got that. Pitch down.
So there's two ways to set it.
Uh-huh.
Supposed to set it per the percentage that you calculated on the throttle quadrant. But what most people do is they just look up at the flight control page and set whatever you put in the MCDU, so 0.7 down.
Yeah, that's what we pre-calculated actually, and now it's
and then
0.7 down.
when we run through the checklist and the pilot monitoring says trim, I look down physically at the throttle quadrant and make sure it's set to the proper percentage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, okay, so I've set that to 0.7 down.
Good.
So as per brief space. All right. It goes back to the wheel page. All right, so now I just have to get, so now taxi clearance, taxi, ECAM door page check.
Yeah, before that, you just run your checklist, make sure everything, well, you did your flow, now you run the checklist.
Okay.
And I think you kind of did that,
Yeah, door.
kind of a read and do, so now you're ready to taxi.
Okay, so taxi, nose light taxi. Alright. Parking brake off, thrust levers as required, brakes check, flight control check.
We'll also do the runway turn-off lights when we taxi. So the two outside switches.
And do you pull up the landing lights to off?
No, we don't flip those on until we go on the runway. But I mean, that could be your particular airline procedure. If you put them to off, it just drops them out of the wing, but they're not illuminated.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
But yeah, we don't touch those until we go on the runway.
All right, so let's taxi now. All right. Not thrust.
Let's see your taxi skills.
Well, you've seen my F-16 skills.
Okay, in some of the older airplanes, you'll want to make sure the brake pressure is 0, so the alternate system, you're on the normal system. So what you'll do is you'll look down at the accumulator and you'll hit the brakes, and you'll make sure those two side needles don't move.
They don't move. Well, they
okay. If they
glitch,
did, that would mean your normal system's not working and your alternate system is, so that would be a problem.
Yeah. Well, they overriding something, because if you check closely, the needles are forced back to 0.
Yeah, when you hit the brakes, you should be operating on the normal system, so you should not see those move. So the check is brake check. You'd press them, and the pilot monitoring would say pressure 0.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's pressure 0 for sure.
That's correct. The older aircraft, you'll have to check that, and you'll know which aircraft it is because you go into the QRH and you look at the procedures, and it'll say pressure 0, so you know you got the older aircraft. The newer aircraft, it's just a brake check.
All right.
You don't have to worry about the pressure 0, but we just always look for it.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay, so when you have slow your taxi speed down, when there's no taxiways to cross and no traffic, you're going to want to do your flight control check. So you'll go full back, and the pilot monitoring will look at the flight control page and make sure it shows full up. It'll do it automatically when you move the stick. So full up, then you go full down, and then neutral, and the monitoring pilot will make sure those indications are correct.
Yeah.
And then it's full left, full right, neutral.
Yeah, did that already.
And then the hard part is you have to push the center button on the tiller to check your rudder. If you don't push the center button, your
It will taxi.
your airplane's going to go left and right.
Oh, that's yeah, that's I checked that.
You can do it, but like I said, you always want to taxi slow when you do this. So you got to push it in and hold it, then do your rudder check, and he'll do
Because
full
it's
left,
still
full
moving
right,
the
and neutral.
tail.
Yeah. So you
Still
might want to
moving
just
it.
go ahead and stop, make it easy.
Because I press disconnect, it doesn't seem to work. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's working now.
And then, of course, the first officer would do his checks minus the rudder,
Okay.
and then he would select terrain if he's the pilot monitoring.
So
And then he would do the takeoff config and auto brakes to max, and you're set up.
and then you do the takeoff config test, right? Well,
So that's down on the
yeah, and that.
cam control panel.
All right, so we're closing up on the runway. Runway turn now on. Well, obviously there's some traffic.
And if there's any changes to your briefing, you
Approaching
note those
3,
now.
5
Quick
left.
amended takeoff briefing for any changes, and then off you go.
Yeah.
That's funny. We have one airplane that does that.
On
Approaching
runway
3-5 left.
3-5
On.
left.
3-5 left.
All right.
That's a problem with Airbus. We have so many different versions of the aircraft. You have to know all the different variations and the things to look for. So you literally have to review that before you go fly.
Oh wow. Yeah, I've heard
Yeah,
that.
it sucks.
Depending on the companies and everything, and the versions and the software versions, it's a nightmare.
So as you cross the whole short line, all those lights come on. Strobes to on. You want the strobes flashing anytime you're on a runway. Don't
So
leave
that-
it on auto.
Okay, so on.
Yeah, put it on, especially at nighttime.
Okay.
You want people to see you on the runway. Some companies use the wing inspection light too, just preference.
All right, so I'll set that to on. Lights.
So before you take off, I can just kind of
On
run you through
runway
a couple
3,
things. You bring the
5
power up
left.
to 50%,
On runway
make
3,
sure it's
5
stable.
left.
In the real world, the engines are different, and some engines spool up much slower. For example, I was in an airplane the other day, and the time between the right engine hitting 50% and the left engine hitting 50% was almost 6 seconds, which sucks. So this is why you stabilize them, because if you was to just go full power and the right engine spooled up and the left didn't, you'd be off the runway.
Oh yeah. So
We actually had a guy do that, and luckily he stopped the airplane before it went off the runway. So this is why you go slowly to 50%, stabilize, make sure all indications are normal, and then bring it into the takeoff position.
All right, so now 50%.
Call stable, and then start your time. This is for 5 minutes at flexed at the takeoff position, or if you're single engine, you've got 10 minutes.
All right, and
So
I started the
not there. It's on the It's on the FCU there where it says chrono.
Yeah. Okay.
Start that one.
All right,
and then
start it.
off you go.
Okay.
I didn't see it start though, so maybe it's not. Oh, there it is. Good. Okay.
Is it manual toga or should I do something else?
No, not toga, just flex.
Flex. All right.
One more up. There you go. So, whoop, you went too far. You're in toga.
All right. Crossing V1.
There you go. Flex 61, SRS runway, auto thrust blue. Coming up on V1, hands off the throttles and rotate.
You're up.
Don't bring that up until you get a positive climb, and the radar altimeter starts increasing.
Yeah, it was. I have to put that to the 30 seconds delay, right?
Careful.
All right, lever to climb. That's
not yet. It'll start flashing. Just wait till it starts flashing.
It was.
Climb.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, so now I'm back to flats. So I should probably level off. Yeah.
Just follow the flight director. By now, I've already had the autopilot on. I'm lazy. Like 100 feet, it's on. I'm tired of flying.
All right, and should I retract the spoilers?
So once it's past the S speed and the trend arrow shows increasing, then you go flap 0.
Okay. Well, now.
And see VLS creeping up. That's good. You should see it like that. That's good.
Disable the ground spoilers.
Yeah, when you're flying single pilot, it's just best to get the autopilot on. It's,
the weather is a bit challenging here on turbulence.
So your temperature is probably below 10 and you're in the clouds, so engine anti-ice to on.
Alright, so then pull up the pilot first. Well, I'm touching everything. Alright.
Boy, if they ever put this into multi-crew, this would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, well, I'm trying to actually work on that. It's just going to be a nightmare for sure. Alright, autopilot on. And should okay, so wing anti-ice, right?
Just the engines.
The engines, alright. I thought you would put the engine anti-ice when you were actually descending.
No.
When you were low in, I would
temperature constraints. I can tell you about those a little later on, but in icing conditions, engine anti-ice on.
Okay.
Once your SAT is below -40, you don't have to do it. Now, if you're in the descent, regardless of the temperature, anytime you're in visible moisture in the descent because of the low power settings, it's engine anti-ice on.
Okay.
But at cruise and climb, once the SAT is below -40, then you don't need it.
All right, the timer's still running. Should I set that off or?
What's running?
The clock.
No. You leave it on.
All right.
Okay, leave it on.
Oh, that baby is climbing like hell.
So now it's the after takeoff climb checklist.
Yep.
Flaps retracted,
After takeoff.
speed brakes disarmed, and then
yeah.
Well, it's a little different from yours. Packs on.
All right. After checklist. After takeoff, APU bleed master switch as required. It's off. Engines mode selector as required. Normal. TCAS TARA is set. Anti-ice as required. So we set that for the 2 engines.
The Airbus is just landing gear up, flaps retracted, packs on. Just 3 items until you get to the Q&H.
So now we are in
at standards.
The thing I'm interested now is we should see the air conditioning stuff should be like low pressure right now.
Yeah. Go. So yeah, flip over to the bleed page.
Yeah, bleed page. Right.
We could have checked this on the ground.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
the
It's
condition,
low
but the bleed.
low pressure right now. Yeah, low pressure.
No, bleed. Go to bleed.
Yeah.
Okay, so flip it to normal, and it should go to the 12 o'clock position on your flow control.
Yeah, it is now.
And then high should go over to the high position.
It is now. Yeah.
It's a little fast. I'd like to see them slow that up because it just doesn't happen that fast.
I would agree on that.
But like I said, that's just kind of like the little details they can tinker with.
Yeah, they can adjust
in different releases. Yeah. Depressurize the cabins if the ram air comes on.
Well, we can test whatever you wish. I mean,
No, no. Just play.
all right. This is now the
Let's
less
see,
interesting
what are some
part.
other things we can check here during the climb? We used to do a packs off takeoff, just to get better performance out of the engine. But we don't now. Our standard is packs on. But what you would do if the packs were off during your takeoff is, God, hell, I forget. It's been so long. But you turn one on at one point and then the other pack on the other. Okay. But yeah, so we just leave them on unless we have to do we need more performance. And that would be a situation where if you needed more performance, you'd leave the APU on. It would drive the air conditioning system, and your engines would get better performance for takeoff.
Okay. So yeah, now we climb.
But the problem with that is if you need, if you're going to be a situation where you have icing conditions, the APU does not provide enough bleed air for icing, so you wouldn't do it in that situation.
Alright, performance page. So checklist for climb. MCU performance climb. Check. Manage. Process climb. Alright. Barrel ref set. The thing is that when I pull off the barometer here on the front on the front panel, basically it sets up the two sides. So PF and PNF. I would guess in real life that's not the case.
No, it is not the case. In fact, if one sets standard and the other does not, you'll get a master caution after a few seconds. But again, maybe in the later versions, the other versions, they'll fix that. This may be something that's required, for development too. I mean, like I said, it's a computer simulation, so maybe it's something where they're limited and they have to do it that way. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So did you recommend in the checklist for the client that the PNF should be in flight plan, the pilot should be performance line? Correct. FCU set if AP on, or wherever it is set to manage, and we're targeting for the cruise altitude. Radar tilt adjust. Well, not working for the radar. There's radar anyway. 10,000 FS options as required. Okay. And PNF, RF check sets, cross check. NTIs, engine NTIs are required. Landing lights retracts. On seat belts as required.
So look at your total air temperature, and then are you in visible moisture? So you're still in icing conditions, but you're out of the visible moisture, so you can turn.
So where's the pin? Is the pin the little thingy on the window shield, the glare shield?
Yeah, that's it right up there. You see that little pin sticking out?
Yeah. That's
we'll check that for ice accumulation. If we get it, then we turn the wing anti-ice on. But some of the aircraft have ice detectors. They're under the nose, one on each side. So with those detect ice, then you go wing anti-ice.
Okay. So now we are, so we should leave the engine anti-ice until we reach cruise level?
No. Once you're out of visible moisture.
All right. Okay.
Once you're out of icing conditions, then I like to leave it on for just a few seconds, like 30 seconds or so. I know the Embraer, it's all automatic. And once you're out of icing conditions for like 3 minutes, then it automatically closes the valves.
Well, we're out of the class for a couple.
There you go. So just engine anti-ice on. And that's something you can look at on the bleed page too. Go to your bleed page or pull it up, and then flip the engine anti-ice on and see what it looks like on the bleed page. So go back up there and flip the engine anti-ice on.
Doesn't change much.
Good, that's normal. Now turn the wing anti-ice on.
Okay. All right. Now we go.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, that's normal. Hey, over here in Saudi, we very rarely use wings. So typically, what happens when you turn it on, it fails. The wing anti-ice valve sticks because it's just a bunch of dust, and then when you go through clouds, you get moisture, and then just it turns into mud. So,
oh shoot!
So a lot of the aircraft, when you go to turn that on, it'll go anti-ice fail.
Because of the sand and everything, right?
I heard that when they sent one of our aircraft into a sea check, they found almost a ton of sand in the ECS system in the ducts. Because it just gets sucked up in there and collects. Yeah, it's looking good. I'm enjoying it. It's nice. It's the best. It's the best simulation I've seen. I mean, I saw the Flight Sim Labs, and oh my God, it's just a slideshow. It's the frame rates are so slow, and it's just, well, it's the typical FSX BS.
Yeah. I'm not saying it. You are.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm liking it.
Rush, you were saying.
Sandman, what do you think? Because I was sitting there watching you guys there with like the packs and all that stuff on the ground. From like my perspective, I had a look at it yesterday, did a whole bunch of like engineering checks on the aircraft, and for me the systems look near perfect. Like there were those problems that you had there with the bleeds, like the valves were moving too quickly, but the thing is, it's still, from what I saw, it's still showing the correct sense. Like the valves are moving and the temperatures are changing maybe a little bit too quickly, but they're doing it the right way. And in a simulator, well, you don't care that the cabin isn't going to get up to temperature in time. You just care that the cabin temperature could and will change. You don't really care about the delta time, right? But like, would you like say, like for someone going in for a sim check and things like that, that the systems in here are like up to that level that, you know, you can read through your SOPs, run through some flows, and things are going to do what you want them to do?
Yeah, look, and like I said, this is again the problem when you have a real world pilot look at it. It's just like, you know, some of the guys are like, oh no, this is not right, da, da, da. But looking at the general function of the systems, yes, they're correct. What would be nice in later versions, as things, you know, as these guys get some time to take a break, you know, get the aircraft out there, let people enjoy it, give them a break so they can start working on it. Is you'd like to see some of the stuff eventually work its way into you know, the normal delta as you're talking about. But as far as the way the systems are operated, no, this is just fine. It's like I said, I'm just nitpicking about a few things because it's really hard to build the different characteristics between each plane. You know, you just can't do that, and I guess you could, but I mean, to the average pilot that gets on the simulator, he just wants to see, as you say, the system's operating correctly. He doesn't care that one plane has is a little bit more temperamental than the other. That's just stuff we see on the line because we're flying, you know, 6-7 hours a day every day. But like you said, yes, the systems are operating nicely, and it's very refreshing to see that built into the simulation.
Yeah, like Ilios there, he said, like, yeah, it's good enough. What in the streams I've done on this plane, I'm trying to illustrate that it's not just good enough. It's absolutely amazing, considering the price point it's at, like $80 or $90, whatever the hell it is.
Oh, this Flight
stream,
Sim Labs 140 bullshit. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and this is X-Plane, so it just blows away the other one as far as I'm concerned.
I can't believe it. That it's my personal feeling, and this is just sort of like a stab in the dark. My personal feeling is this thing is actually some kind of engineering sample or an engineering systems test model or something like that they've been able to get their hands on. You know, like a desktop trainer or something like that from Airbus, and then they've integrated that into X-Plane. I don't think they've gone out there and read through the manual and said, oh, this is how a bleed air system should work. I think they've actually got the direct data from Airbus. Whether they're allowed to say that or not, I don't know.
Yeah, Elios, I love X-Plane. It's just so much better than that FSX and even P3D. But to answer your question, I was flying with a first officer the other day who showed me a simulator on his PC. It's not about the visuals. The visuals are there, but it's not about the visuals and the graphics. It functions exactly like the real airplane. So it is indeed a systems trainer. And I think it's from Lufthansa. You can buy it for about $400, but if you bought this and then went through, I mean, you could like say, okay, let's set this scenario up. Okay, this is how it's supposed to operate. Let's make our sim operate that way. How they get it there with the code and the systems running as systems behind the scene, they're going to have more information. But what I saw on the initial forum post that these guys, what are these guys called? What's this FF stand for?
Flight Factor.
Okay, Flight Factor. They use this for flight schools for like 6 years. They were developing this, and now they're just making it commercially available for flight sim enthusiasts. So it sounds to me like they've done their homework. And again, they're not going to model everything, at least not initially, because, you just got to decide, okay, if we spend, 100 hours developing this crew oxygen, right? So the guy can push the button and the regulator pressure low goes away. Is this going to be cost effective for the sim? It's probably not going to be, the return is not worth the investment. So this is why some of these things don't make it in there. It would be nice to have, but again, is it really worth our development time and money to put in? So this is why some of this stuff just doesn't end up in the sim, because there's buttons on the airplane I've never touched, and if I don't touch them for real, why would I want to do it in the sim? But where you're really going to see the bang for the buck is what happens when we do certain things in the airplane. Like, Max, go up and turn the left engine bleed off. See what happens. But make sure you don't have any systems pages up. So get rid of the bleed page. Go up and turn the left engine bleed off and see what happens.
So you want me to cut off the...
We'll get rid of the bleed page first of all. Yeah, you should have nothing up there. There you go. That's the cruise page. So just turn the left engine bleed off and see what happens.
It's off
now. Okay, so you should have go down to your main instrument panel. The bleed page pops up automatically because you have something that's not configured correctly, so it's bringing it to your attention. And go look at the engine display. Okay, so let's see. Engine bleed 1 off. Okay, so the procedure now would be the flying pilot would say, I have control of communications, and he would order ECAM actions. So the non-flying pilot would cancel the master warning. So cancel the master warning.
All right.
Now, we've obviously created this situation, but should the valve fail, so he would start his ECAM actions, he would say, air bleed 1 off. You'd look at the system page, you would verify that, and then you'd go up to the overhead and you'd look at the engine 1 bleed.
Yeah.
And it would say fault.
It is.
And so it's fault because we have it off, but if the switch was okay, so it's off. It doesn't say fault. There would be a fault light in that engine 1 bleed indicating that the valve is not in the correct position. You've got a fault.
You want me to try and simulate it? I think I can actually.
Okay, so put the engine bleed back in and that'll clear the ECAM. And see if
It
you
is.
can create that fault.
All
with,
right, let me check.
But return the system normal first.
Yeah, I am. All right. Let me check. Where is it?
I'll be right back, guys.
All right. I've got my list of variables from the plane. So, all right, so let me check lead.
So like for me, it would be nice to see these, and believe it or not, we usually have some sort of a hiccup just about on every flight. Very rarely do you go through a day of flying in the Airbus without having something pop up. It's usually minor, but it usually does happen.
Okay.
At least in our aircraft. You know, they get exposed to some pretty harsh conditions.
Yeah, with the sand and everything, that's not.
Yeah, exactly. The hot temperatures. We usually have a temperature inversion out of here every day. You'd be climbing in altitude, the air's getting warmer instead of colder.
Okay. All right, I got something called engine bleed V1 source and block failure. Source and pressure. So what is that?
And before you get too close to your destination,
Oh yeah.
check that soft mode on the horizontal elevator to get to that in a second.
Oh yeah, but by the time I actually check which one. All right, it says decelerate right now. Oh shit, I forgot we have to actually descend now.
You're past your top of descent.
Oh yeah. Oh shoot.
So go ahead and select an altitude and then manage it, and it should go to the very top of the magenta barb on your airspeed display.
All right, now it's going. All right, engine reducing power.
You should push it in.
Yeah,
push it in.
Yeah.
There you go. Thrust idle descent. Okay. So it's going to slow to that top barb, and then it'll maintain that to try to catch your descent profile.
Yeah.
Now to see how high above your descent profile is, go to the progress page on your MCDU and tell you how high above it you are.
Okay. All right. Meanwhile, I'm trying to get its pneumatic system. All right.
Hey, you can check that stuff on the ground. We can do that on the ground. So just
Okay.
go ahead and fly your profile.
All right. So I should back to the performance page. Descent.
Progress. Look
sorry.
at the progress page on the MCDU.
All right.
And it'll show you how high above your altitude you are. Look on the right hand side on the progress page. See where it says VDEV? You're 4,530 feet high.
Oh yeah. Okay. So deviation
Now-
from the vertical speed. From the vertical.
Yeah, look at your
profile.
nav display. Zoom in on your nav display.
I have altitude constraints here. Flight level
Okay, do
160.
you see that little blue lightning bolt?
Yeah.
That means you're going to catch your descent profile before you get to your altitude you have set.
Okay.
So you could hold this right here, and you'll notice on your VDEV that the altitude above should be slowly decreasing. And it is.
It is. Yeah.
If you would like to get to that sooner, just pop open your speed brakes.
All right.
Just run it to half because you got the autopilot on. It's not going to go any higher than half.
No, but it doesn't go to half actually. It goes to full directly.
It goes to full, but they only should come out halfway
Okay.
because the autopilot's on. You can move it to full.
All right. I can. Okay. Now I can.
Yeah, but they'll only come out half. Now, if you turn the autopilot off, then they'll come out full.
Ah. Okay.
There you go. So you can move it to full, it's just not going to go full.
Yeah,
I always just go half. But if you need even more drag, turn the autopilot off and
More
then
drag
run it to full.
required,
It'll go
okay.
all the way.
So So if I check, what should I check? The flight controls.
You can go to the flight control page and see.
Right.
Now you should really start to descend.
Yep.
So
and I see
there's
the
your
blue
speed
bolt
brakes.
is actually getting
Closer. Okay.
closer.
So you turn your autopilot on, and then the speed brakes will go back to half.
Let's see. All right, on. Speed brake doesn't seem to move actually.
Well, you're probably not going to see it on the flight control page.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Your blue arrow should get further away from you because you're not going, and your vertical speed should not be as much. But I don't know if that's modeled correctly or not.
I don't know yet, to be honest. But we're almost back on profile.
Yep. And then, you know, typically once you get, you know, or you get close, I just bring the brakes back in. It's just annoying to you know, have that rumbling sound all the time.
All right, good track. Or we're closing in.
Yeah, there you go. So you're within 1,000, bring them up, and then it'll slowly stabilize, and then you're back on profile.
Yeah, it's like 100 something.
Typically, I like to go past the top of the descent a little bit here in Saudi because they don't control your descent over here. They just wait for you to tell when you're ready.
Okay.
So we like to do a power off descent. It's a little more uncomfortable because your descent rates are higher, but you know the engines stay at idle the whole time. So it just
yeah,
depends on your preference.
Is it like the continuous profiles that now you have in the some airports implemented, like the C procedures?
CDFA?
I don't know what it's called, but I know that in France and on some main airports you have like all the stars actually with a Charlie procedure naming actually are continuous descents, so you never actually touch the engines. And,
yeah, that's nice, but like in a high traffic area, that's
you can't. Yeah, I mean,
rarely
let's
happens.
face it. The goal in France, you can't do that. There's too much traffic during the day. The only time they can do that is either for the passenger flights crossing the pound, or it's for the cargo flights during the night where they can actually do that, because otherwise there's too much traffic in the area.
Yeah, that's it. So before you get too low, go ahead and go to your approach page, check your ATIS, and set up your performance page for your approach.
Oh yeah.
And then you're pretty heavy, so you'll want to do a config full landing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're over 60 some odd tons.
Let's approach. So let's see for the Google airport. QNH 1019.
Now what we'll do is we'll set that, so we'll press the QNH knob, we'll set it, and then we'll pull it back to standard so that it's already preset for us.
Okay.
Yeah, so up on your FCU or on your EFIS panel, just push it in, preset it, and then pull it back to standard.
Alright, it's done. Alright, wind. Alright, temperature is 14 degrees Celsius. And wind is 2909 knots. Alright, transition altitude, let's check that. Alright, decision altitude should be something around 200.
Yeah, we use MDA, so whatever the
DH for
SL
that,
is.
yeah, it's 200.
DH would be radar, and then MDA would be in
garbage.
missile. Exactly.
I see the other day some guys put no to DH.
Well, if you
you
start doing Cat 2 and Cat 3, then you're going to use your DH. But just the Cat 1, we just use MDA. So it's your barrel.
Because I see for a full auto lands, basically they just said no on the DH.
I'm not auto land qualified, so I don't know.
Okay.
We just don't need it over here. Yeah, I'd have to review the procedures. We don't even do Cat 2 over here.
Yeah. It's like, do you even have clouds?
Only during certain times of the year. Everything, otherwise, it's brown until about 20,000 feet, and then it's blue skies and smooth.
All right, so let me pull up now the console panel. You'll see what I'm doing right now. So basically, this is the core plugin that you can actually change.
What is that?
And so basically, if I wanted to pneumatic systems, there you go. So if I wanted here, for example, engine bleed 1, for example, as you can see, engine bleed 1, and I would check what's inside the engine bleed 1, and I could probably fail that, for example.
Okay.
So for the engine bleed 1, I have, you can check that now on the screen, it should be popping up now. So which one should I try to fail now, if I wanted to?
Doesn't matter, just fail one of them.
So should I fail the source fan, for example?
I just fail the bleed valve. Just make the bleed valve close, if you can. Or lower the pressure. If you lower the bleed pressure, the valve will close automatically. I got to go to the bathroom.
Hey, no worries.
Okay, I'm back. You could also over temp the bleed.
I've already found what I wanted, so check.
Okay.
If now I'm going to fail the source. So source duct blocked.
While we're doing this, just put yourself into a present position hold so you don't get any closer to the airport.
Oh, let's see right now. All right, so I've got PAX 1 fault.
Okay, so it's a pack fault. Okay.
Okay. But it doesn't say anything on the... Alright, now I got engine 1 HP valve fault.
Okay, you should have an ECAM message if you have a...
Yeah, I
there
am
you go.
now. I am.
Okay, so if you want real quick, just put yourself into a present position hold so you don't get closer to the airport.
Alright, so... I don't know if the whole thing actually is implemented right now.
Okay, that's no worries. Just
let me check. So if I wanted to hold, so
flight plan.
All right, so flight plan. So what?
Select the very top. Line select key 1.
Okay.
Top left button.
Yeah, I've got hold now. All right. Oh, X-plane crashed.
Oh shit.
Ah, shit.
Well, that's okay. It's been fun. It's really fun to see this stuff in action. I can't wait to get a hold of it myself.
Oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'll test it, but you know, I I fly every day, so
Yeah, you don't want
until
to do
they get multi-crew. Once they get the multi-crew, then you and I can go do a flight together, and we can.
Yeah, that's something we need to work.
You can fly, and I'll just sit over and read the newspaper and work the radios and pull the gear for you.
Man. Elias, I think Elias had something to. I think Elias, do you want me to pull up the Piper Cub, Super Cub? Oh, this is not the latest version, actually. I did not download it, but just to showcase it to you. The hold was too much, yeah. You might get a Cub, actually.
What's this airplane you're pulling up?
Piper Super Cub.
Who makes it?
Well, it's part of the Rush that was speaking with us earlier is part of the is owning the store for that particular plane, and Elios is also part of the dev team for that specific plane.
Oh, the Cub.
Yeah, the Super Cub.
Ah, cool.
I did a showcase.
I'd love to fly a Cub. The only thing I've gotten to fly tail dragger is Citabria.
Okay.
But the Cub would just be awesome to take out and fly around, especially if you got the big old bubble tires and you can land anywhere you want.
Uh-huh. All right, back in Lyon Airport. Oh, shit. I don't want the, what's the X camera disable. All right. All right, you should seeing the, all right, yeah, you got it now. I'll put myself up directly on the airfield. Change, all right, change airfield to something I know a bit more. Elios is making his own advertisement here. Yeah, you get 3 versions for the price of 1. Yay! And actually, those include the rep mode as the one that you got for the Baron 58 from Coronado. So, it's supposed to...
Well, this is the kind of flying that I like to do. Take this up to Alaska and fly around up there with a Cub, man. That'd be sweet.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can do that. Since I'm a lazy guy, I'm going to do the start auto. Okay, I can do the auto startup. I'll do that manually then. Shit, yeah, not yet. Mixture full rich. It's done. Crank the throttle a bit. Magnesium's on.
I like the fuel gauge up there on the right side.
I'll pull up with the sound a bit so you can actually listen to that. Got the Breitling version up, nav lights on, taxi lights, avionics coming up. Parking brake off.
Careful, you're about at rotation speed already.
Yeah. I don't know if I got. I don't know if I have enough runway for that. Oh, I need lower down laps 1. Let's try to take it off there. Ooh. A bit too much horsepower. I forgot about that. Oh, smooth. So this is the region I'm from, where I moved to a big city. And this is the kind of settings I'm used to. Mountains and green things everywhere. And this is actually representing quite well the region. Do you have Xenviro? Sandman?
Who are you asking?
Yeah, you.
Yes, I do.
Alright, I bought myself.
Yeah, the going through the clouds and the Xenviro is just amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Show him the door. What do you want me to show by the door? Alright. Now, there's no wind sound. I don't have the latest version of Helios. I've opened it, but it doesn't make any sound, so. Yeah, I don't have the latest version, so I don't know. I didn't get the brakes. Oh, criticize. Do criticize. So that's a slow ride, but it's enjoyable to be honest. Alright, let me stabilize the plane first. I like the wheels turning with the wind. Hit the brake. Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right. Start turning
Yeah,
again.
now they should turn.
I've released the brake now, and yeah, and they're not starting to turn. Should it turn with the airfoil? I'm not sure about that. Yeah, it's here, but. Probably should put myself in night. Hold on, I need to change settings. There you go. Got the lights now. I think no sim has actually got so close to real life lights. And dynamic lighting. Classic panel. All right. If you want. Start new flight. That's not the correct version, I guess. No. 150 standards. Should I update it to the latest package? Because whatever version I select, I always get the same thing. Oh no, this. All right, okay. There's only the mixture here, so it's a fixed prop. Okay. Modern. Okay, switch. Vintage. Vintage. Oh, okay. That's like nothing. You have like 4 gauges.
Old school flying
Oh
there.
yeah, definitely. You've got like what, the RPM? Yeah, well, the 40. Okay.
Honestly, man, in a plane like this, just you want to be outside that and just fly it that way.
Yeah, that's what I think. Battery switch on. Fuel pump for 3 seconds. Forgot something. Oh shit, engine 1 fluid. I forgot something. That's not possible. Nothing is coming up. All right, crank the throttle. Nothing. All right.
Should be full throttle, and then as soon as it starts mixture rich,
Yeah.
throttle back.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I shouldn't use the key binding. I should use the button here.
Quick, quick, quick!
All right. Ooh. Turning around. I have my foot like totally on the right, and the plane still goes like crazy. Alright, there we go. We've got the rebound sound.
So Max, just tilt the view up so that the gauges are out of view and rock and roll.
Yep.
There you go, man. Now you're flying.
Real deal.
Listen to the wind noise and the engine RPM and
yeah. And fly with the heater. So, just to give you a heads up on the region here, is that you've got all the ski resorts that are on that side. And this is where I grew up actually. I went skiing every weekend when it was the winter seasons and we got the snow. Something you don't see every day in Saudi Arabia, right?
yeah. Unless you go to Dubai, I think they got that indoor ski resort.
Yeah, but everything's fake there. Like most other things actually there. Except the sand.
yeah.
Oh shit, that's the Aerosim livery. I guess I should see my name around here. Maybe on the other side. I can't see it, but I know it's there. Too many things to read anyway. You got Elias here. Alright, let's go back to flying. I would love to see 3D3s actually. It's those 2D3s are, when you're too close from the ground, they're just like horrible. You need to pass to build up some speed. That's the kind of thing in an F-16 actually you would go into the valley and it would just pass by like no time. going to call it off for the day anyway.
That's one of your better landings, Max.
I tried. I could have tried actually the with that kind of plane. Actually, let's go there. It's have you been to what's Courchevel? Courchevel. Yep. I don't know if there's anything here. There's no one watching. Oh. What's that? What's happening? Oh. Interesting. Huh. All right. Do we have the slope runway? Oh yes. Have you ever been? Have you ever flown away around here, Sandman?
Oh, this is Courchevel in France, right?
This is the well, I've got a couple like that, but yeah, this is Courchevel, yeah, in France, yeah. No, there's a mesh issue here, but other than that, it's pretty accurate. Would be fun to actually be on final. Runway 04, confirm. Oh shoot. Yep. There's a mesh issue. Oh yeah. I thought you could set your. Oh, I remember now. You do that? No. Oh, shoot. All right, now. Final approach. Shoot. I don't know if as a VFR pilot you need to have special clearance to land on that type of airfield.
Hell, that's a Cub, man. You could have just landed on the top portion.
True. But you know, what would you do simple if you can do, well, difficult? There you go. I will try to download the Ultra HD mesh for the Alps. Probably it will be better for this scenario.
I don't think FSX or even P3D would be able to model this correctly, would it? They wouldn't have the elevation
No,
issues?
but the workaround was to create a full object of the terrain with the sloped runway, and that's the way that they would do it, because otherwise, by default, all airports in P3D or FSX are flat, so you can't have sloped runway. All right, I'm going to call it off anyway, for the stream at least. So for everyone, thank you for watching, thank you for joining, and see you soon. Cheers.